Gambian lawmakers continue debate on draft constitution amid calls for approval. Zimbabwe's decision to return land to former white owners triggers intense debates. Gambia's vice president reiterates government's commitment to promoting peace after years of tyranny. This and more coming your way on The World Today. This is Africa TV and many thanks for joining us. I am Amadou Kante and now the news in detail, and we begin with matters of the National Assembly because Gambians are keeping their fingers crossed in hope that National Assembly members would do the right thing by adopting a new draft constitution brought before them last week. The House is already divided and activists have started pinpointing lawmakers they think would vote against the proposed new Supreme Law and have targeted them with social media campaigns. There is growing fear that the bill may fail when lawmakers vote at the end of their scrutiny. And we hope to bring you more details of today's session in our subsequent news bulletins. Now to Rwanda, because Rwandan citizens have welcomed the government decision to transform national documents to show equal representation 26 years after the genocide crisis. Some claim that initial documents were discriminatory and that they had brought division among citizens, but a new identification system has been introduced. According to the National Identification Agency, the modernization of national documents will continue. Let's have more details of that in this report.
26 years after the end of the genocide against Tutsis and Rwanda being liberated, people are grateful that their ID cards no longer have anything that promotes divisionism. The country's history shows how what was once social classes was transformed into tribal groups by colonialists, and it was imposed into the ID system. It was a little book, and that was the first thing to bring about the sort of tribalism that was seen in more modern times, that it was claimed a person was born into. However, we Rwandans used to have 20 tribes of our own, Abasinga, Abazigaba, Abajesera, and so on, and any Rwandan could belong to any of them. The national ID as we know it was first introduced in 1933. But back then, and for many decades afterwards, it indicated a person's tribe, so it became an important extermination tool during the genocide against Tutsis, with the Interahamwe militia using the cards to determine who would live or die. After the RPF in Inkotanyi stopped the genocide against Tutsis and liberated the country in 1994, national ID cards were no longer used in such destructive ways. I was among the people that first participated in that project, heading the commission that was distributing the ID cards in 95-96. Arusha decided that ID cards that included what was considered tribes be replaced by others that did not, and even Habyarimana had tried to do it but failed, so he refrained from it. Today, anyone 16 years and older is supposed to have an ID card with all necessary information to properly identify them, and officials at the National Identification Agency say the cards will continue to be upgraded, incorporating more and more technology.
For the digitization journey, we've started a feasibility study for which type of digital ID Rwanda will be using. And we are hoping to have it done very soon, by end of October, early November, where we will know which type. But it won't come to uproot the efforts that have been done. It will be actually a complementary solution to the identity and other infrastructures, because digital identity is not, the ID is there, but it also looks at all the other components, including PKI, including infrastructure, including the readiness of all the players in the ecosystem. So today, our ID, we also provide digital authentication We are connected with more than 48 institutions, both public and private, including banks, including Rwanda Revenue Authority, telcos, and other government agencies. Land Center. Today, you can when you buy a land, it's tied to your ID. Applying for services on Irembo, and even for social security, the UDH, and even Mutuelle de Santé. So we have a lot of institutions that are connected, and they provide the authentication to citizens. But we want to go beyond that and provide a fully digitized identity in Rwanda.
Close to 7.6 million Rwandans currently have national ID cards, more than 3.9 million of them females and 3.6 million males. In general, 96% of those old enough to have ID cards have them.
From the report there in Rwanda, we come back home and talk on peace because September 24th is celebrated yearly as International Day of Peace. The commemoration involves the observation of 24 hours of non-violence or ceasefire and the spreading of peaceful messages to promote tolerance and tranquility. While speaking on the day, Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure said the government has made great efforts in the promotion and enhancement of peace in the Gambia. Well, Ibrahim John tells us more of that in this report.
This year's International Day of Peace is celebrated in the midst of a pandemic that destabilizes the entire globe, as warring parties observe a ceasefire to mark the day the coronavirus continues to kill. Nonetheless, as the Gambia joins the rest of the world to mark International Day of Peace, the Vice President Dr. Aissatou Toure said that the Barrow administration has endeavored to nourish peace in the country.
In the Gambia, we have made great efforts and undertaken initiatives to promote peace after going through many years of tyranny, total disregard for the rule of law, fear, and panic. Following the eventful 2016 presidential elections, the government of the Gambia, under the leadership of His Excellency President Adama Barrow, has ushered in a peaceful democratic dispensation that guarantees Gambians of every hue, tribe, and creed a peaceful coexistence and rights to live as human beings.
Dr. Toure further stated that the lockdown, which is caused by the obnoxious virus, has escalated the danger of sexual and gender-based violence. This mostly affects women and children, and it ruins their peaceful existence.
COVID-19 has also increased the risk of sexual and gender-based violence in our homes and neighborhoods, as more people are forced to stay at home due to loss of jobs or means of earning, and most of these victims are women and children.
The Vice President called for the laying down of arms in all conflict zones in the world and redirect their focus in fighting COVID-19. The International Day of Peace was established in 1981 by the United Nations General Assembly. 2 decades later, in 2001, the General Assembly unanimously voted to designate the day as a period of non-violence and ceasefire. The United Nations encourages all nations and individuals to stay away from hostile activities that can cause human suffering and erode stability. International Day of Peace is celebrated through education and sensitization on issues connected to peace. Reporting for iAfrica News, I am Ibrahim John.
Gambia joins the world to celebrate International Day of Peace, and from that report next to South Africa, where thousands of volunteers in South Africa on Sunday descended on Cape Town's famed Hood Bay beach with refused bags in hand with a mission to rid the shore of harmful trash. The initiative is part of marking the country's annual International Coastal Clean-up Day. Well, more details of that in this report by Ibrahim John again.
With a coastline that stretches more than 2,800 kilometers, South Africa boasts some of the best beaches in the world. Many of them are situated in the Cape region, but they often need a thorough clean-up, and these people are using this year's International Coastal Clean-up Day to do that. Over the years, the day has galvanized a movement of concerned beachgoers who have come to play their part in clearing the pollution littering the shoreline. Mark Muzin, the CEO of Two Ocean Aquarium Education Foundation, said the clean-up day was a reminder to protect the planet.
I think what's really amazing about today is that it reminds us that we should actually be cleaning up every day or being really mindful of our waste. So it's really just the international reminder of collaborate, get together, be outside, and let's protect our planet and look after our ocean. Because everything that ends up in the ocean, of course, comes from land.
Ocean pollution has become a source of concern as the sea has become a dumping ground for all types of waste which harm the marine life. Chris Park, CEO of Ocean Alive Conservation Trust, said this year's beach cleanup brought up a sense of urgency, especially given how polluted the river system currently are.
They are polluted. When you start going around, you can actually pick up a bag like this of stuff in 50 square meters, and so they are very polluted, especially our rivers, which we ignore.
The old and young joined on the day's coastal spring cleaning, and the volunteers made quick work of the difficult task. From plastic bag to shoe soles, boxes to ears modes, just all about types of trash ending up in the ocean, according to the volunteers.
Most of the times we find straws. Like when people drink their cool drinks, they just drop straws around.
Unfortunately, you find lots of straws, bottle caps, pieces of plastic and box ties for supplies and things like that, and regular lollipop sticks, chip packets.
In total, more than 50 bags of trash were removed on this single cleanup and ended up where they actually belong, bound for the recycling station and, more importantly, never to make the journey back into the ocean. For iAfrica TV, I'm Ibrahim Sonko.
There you go, the report is filed in there by Sonko Ibrahim instead of Ibrahim John, as I initially mentioned. And with that report, we will now take a break and come back shortly with the remaining of the stories. Stay with us, we'll be right back. Welcome back, and you're watching the World Today News Bulletin on iAfrica TV. And now to the rest of the stories. Now, World Cleanup Day is marked on September 19 this year, an annual global social action program aimed at combating the global solid waste problem, including the problem of marine debris. Several youth groups in the Gambia tasked themselves to clean up some public places and beaches around the Atlantic Ocean. Ibrahim Makebi Sonko has more details of that in this report.
Youths in Gunjur Medina Salam on Saturday observed World Cleanup Day by cleaning the Gunjur beach situated 39 kilometers southwest of the Gambian capital, Banjul. Modu Jonga, the chief executive officer of the Brikama Area Council, hailed the Balaba Foundation group for cleaning the Gunjur beach. Jonga said his council has already set up a strategic plan to combat the waste crisis within the West Coast region.
We recently developed a 5-year strategic plan, 2020 to 2024, and one of our key strategic priorities is to ensure a clean and a safe environment. Of course, the biggest part of the environment, and we are also committed to ensuring that we adapt to climate change initiative and adaptation.
Madam Velma, a UK citizen residing in Gunjur Medina Salam, who participated in the cleanup, said a clean beach is important for both human and marine life. Velma also calls for support for the foundation beyond the cleanup.
It's very important to have the beach available to all residents, and also it's an eco-village. So a lot of people come here to stay for that eco experience. And I think for the beach to be clean, it's important, and also for the animals or the fishes in the sea, it's important. There's a lot of plastics that we've picked up today, and I know how damaging that is for the environment. So I think it's important as a community. It's very good to see the elderly, the young, all different ages coming together to work together to clean the beach.
The Chief Executive Officer of Star GSM, Lamin Kaba, said all sorts of rubbish are thrown at the beach, which is neither good for human health nor marine life.
The dirtiness that comes from the beach is important to clean it because all garbage is thrown into the sea. So, it is important to clean garbage that is on the shores of the beach. Children normally come to the seaside and they will be in filthiness, and that is not good for their health. This is the reason we partner with the Balaba Youth Group to clean the shores of the beach.
World Cleanup Day aims to raise awareness on mismanaged waste crisis and to mobilize all spheres of society to participate in cleanup actions. Individuals, government, corporations and organizations are all encouraged to take part in cleanups and to find solutions to tackle indiscriminate waste dumping. For iAfrica TV, I am Ibrahim Kebi Songo.
Youth groups join efforts to clean public places as part of World Cleanup Day in the Gambia. And now to North Africa and of course in Egypt. Egypt has discovered coffins from an old cemetery in Cairo that are more than 2,000 years old. The excavation at an archaeological site was conducted by an Egyptian archaeological team, resulting in the discoveries of about 20 well-preserved coffins. The head of the team highlighted his team's commitment to unearth more findings as the exercise continues. Here are more details of that in this report.
An Egyptian archaeological team led by Mustafa Waziri, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Antiquities, has made a great Egyptological discovery. Their excavations at the Saqqara area, that's west of Cairo, found a shaft leading to an old Egyptian burial site. The team found several chambers and have so far unearthed 20 well-preserved coffins.
We started just a couple of weeks ago and we were really lucky. We found the beginning of a shaft with a lot of debris, of course. We start taking this debris out. We found that the shaft is almost 10 meters depth, a lot of dusts. We start cleaning step by step. We found a lot of objects, especially statues, wooden statues of the god Bitah Sukr, and he was the main god of this area.
The coffins are believed to be from the 26th dynasty and are estimated to be around 2,500 years old. Time was kind to them, preserving their bright colors and keeping the wooden shell intact. So mummies inside are expected to be in great shape.
We're still studying to figure out, to realize more and more and more information about those guys. But according to the condition of the wooden coffins, about the final and the perfect colors, paintings, hieroglyphic, so it seems to me that those guys, they were high-rank people. Till now I cannot tell. Were they high priests? Were they judges? Were they nobles? I don't know yet.
Because the discovery is very recent, the coffins must be left for weather conditioning before they're opened. Waziri says they're expecting to unearth more findings as their excavations at this site continue. The iconic Djoser Step Pyramid marks the desert site of the Saqqara area, the necropolis of ancient Egypt. In recent years, this archaeological site has witnessed great discoveries of well-preserved ancient Egyptian treasures.
And from the report there in Cairo, Egypt, finally now to Zimbabwe, because the Zimbabwean government decision to return land to former white owners has sparked a debate among the people affected. While farmers who build houses and live with their families disputed land areas are now left worried of their future. Experts say that experts say the compensation could provide a solution despite the matter being at the court. Well, for more details of that, we go with this report.
Half of the 22,000-hectare Forester estate that was protected by a bilateral treaty between Zimbabwe and Germany was occupied by dozens of black farmers during the land reform program. Some of them are now anxious about their future here.
I am surprised to hear that Forester can repossess this land. And to tell the truth, my colleagues have talked about offer letters and other things. But here, the big word is that we are utilizing land. We produce maize here. We send to the GMB. We produce tobacco to different companies. But I know that tobacco is supporting government in terms of foreign currency, as much as we know. So I don't expect the government to say to us, you must go back home.
The farmers who occupied this land did so back in 2002. Since then, they've raised their families here, built their homes, worked the land and developed their farms from scratch. And so for them, this is the only home they know. They're adamant that they won't move.
The bilateral agreement has nothing to do with us. All we know is that we were given this land by our government and told we would be here forever.
The government insists that former landowners can only return where feasible. It's agreed to pay $3.5 billion in compensation to the others for improvements on the land. But that constitutionally provided payoff is being challenged in court.
We believe that it is overcompensation which does not take into account the fundamental requirements of Section 72, subsection 7, that originally this land was stolen through violence, through robbery, and developed through slave labor.
It's hoped the compensation will bring closure to the contentious issue.
You couldn't get significant investment on farms that had conflict. But if you remove that conflict, obviously it creates the opportunity for people to go back on that land and make it productive. By opening up the space and investment in this sector, I think we can begin to see agriculture booming. And if it does, as you know, the multiplier effect on the rest of the economy benefits everyone.
The agricultural sector is the largest employer. It supplies 60% of industrial raw materials and accounts for over 40% of exports.
And that report there from Harare, Zimbabwe, finally brings this news bulletin to an end. But for more details on this and other stories, as always, log on to our website on iafrica.tv. But for now, many thanks for the pleasure of your company. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and bye for now.